Leave it. All right, good morning and welcome once again to your show on Channel 196 on Star Times. This is Cool. This is Cool TV. I was almost going to say Cool FM. This is Cool TV. Welcome to CROSSFIRE. My name is Dapo Banjo. And I will be driving the show today with my co-anchor, Ishoma Aga Ine. Ishoma, how are you? How was the weekend?
Well rested. Good morning, Nigerians, and you're welcome to the show.
I mean, really and truly, well rested.
Yes, well rested until
that's the first time I'm hearing that
the sun
in 2015.
Yesterday tried spoiling it.
And it rained. It rained in my area yesterday. Very heavily.
I know it threatened to rain, at my axis, but it didn't rain. But then the sun was so intense. Hot. And I had to sit down and reflect on how we also are contributing immensely to further degradation of our environments, which we do not know. But then we'll leave that for Nigerians to wait and find out later on this week.
We'll be treating environment and so many other topics in the show. But our focus has been on the elections coming up 28th of March and April 11th, 2011. And as Nigerians decide on who takes the leadership of the country come the presidential elections, and a lot of apathy is happening out there as people are not very, very confident of the fact that the election is going to be credible, it's going to be free and fair, and it's going to be the type that is transparent, that we usher in freshness. I don't want to say change, because every time you mention change right now, you think about APC.
But then when you mention the word freshness, it also implies something.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I just
newness. Okay, freshness, newness, all of that. As long as I don't use the word change, and I don't say the powers that be are trying to make things happen, and then you begin to think about PDP once you mention power. All right, on today's show, we have very interesting issues to discuss, and I'm very sure a lot of our viewers and our followers are out there waiting for what we will be discussing today. It's interesting, and if I were you, I would stay glued to my TV and be a part of the show. As usual, we expect your call when the phone lines are thrown open, and we trust that you will make those valuable contributions that you always give on this show. Now, this morning we'll be looking at election 2015 and performance evaluation on INEC. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, was established by the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to, among other things, organize elections into various political offices in the country. The function of INEC are contained in the Section 15, Part 1 of the 3rd Schedule of the 1999 Constitution as amended, and the Section 2 of the Electoral Act 2010 as amended, includes but not limited to a couple of issues that we will be raising. I mean, don't forget, we went to INEC website and said, okay, what exactly was INEC set up to do? Yeah. What are their responsibilities, the objectives, their goals? And I was reading, their mission statement and their vision statement, very interesting. But as INEC fared, have they come close to what they are set up to do? I mean, think about all the elections INEC has conducted. Let's take it from 2000, let's assume that in 1999, it was a learning tool. Let's say by 2003, I mean, they are perfecting their hearts. So let's look at 2007, 2011, and preparation towards 2015 elections. And then it borders around how well have they fared. Sure. I mean, some of the things that we gathered at the website of INEC as part of the things that they are supposed to do is, first of all, to organize, undertake and supervise all elections to the offices of the president, the vice president, the governor and deputy governor of states, and to the membership of the Senate, the House of Representatives, and the House of Assembly of each state of the Federation. I mean, what do you think? For me, I think INEC has fared very, very well. Maybe scored 100%, in this particular one.
Because the truth is that was why they were created, to organize and supervise, the elections of these offices. But because I read through this, and on this point, I said, yes, they fared 100%.
100% well.
It.
At least they are putting.
But then, if you decide to break it down, how well prepared are they, and how vigilant are they even while organizing this? That's when you now begin to pick out their flaws.
Yeah, but at least they organize it. They put it together. They put a date. Angle, they coordinate it. Whether it's now free and fair is now left to some other coordinates as part of their responsibilities. Sure. Like the second one, to register political parties in accordance with the provision of the Constitution and Act of the National Assembly.
Yeah.
They've done well.
They've
done really well, very well.
They've not 100% do, but they at least to a large majority, yes, they have done that well.
You know, so for me, I think registration of political parties, I mean, and they come around again to say some political parties are just not worth it, and they took them out of, you know,
of course, we understand that was necessary.
Yeah.
It's not just about having political parties to fill up the number.
Okay, now let's go on here. Monitor the organization and operation of the political parties, including their finances, conventions, congresses, and party primaries. You know, how well do you think INEC has fared, you know, on this particular objective?
Monitoring the organization and operation of political parties. I don't think INEC,
including their finances, conventions, congresses, and party primaries.
I'm sorry to say, but I don't think INEC, they have scored 50%.
I don't see.
This point is concerned.
I was shocked when I came about this particular objective as a major function or role of INEC. I was surprised that this is part of the job they're supposed to do. As far as I'm concerned, INEC scored 0. Oh. I mean, that's my evaluation. I stand to be corrected, but in my analysis, I have followed rallies and campaigns. I mean, I would have expected that at such rallies and campaigns, INEC will have probably a scrolling board, a scrolling board that people can read, you know, through and say, okay, these are the things, you know, maybe they use that platform as even voters' education, knowing fully well that party supporters are supposed to come to those conventions. I mean, their delegates will be at conventions. Supporters would be at their rallies and their campaigns. True. You know, so and you would have expected that they would have, you know, banners erected, they would have big screens, and they will display certain information that will, you know, enlighten, you know, the populace. Right. But I never saw that at any campaign. I never saw that at any campaign. Elections. I think the only time I was noticing, you know, that INEC will actually influence something was when there was supposed to be a rally in Abuja, and because of some certain exigencies, INEC suggested that the campaign be taken to Lagos. And I was like, what is INEC's business about this? I never knew that they actually have a part to play in, you know, in organizing or monitoring and the organization and operation of political parties, including finances, convention, congresses, and party primaries. I mean, I don't think INEC really has fared, you know, in that very objective. Now, another one is arrange for the annual examination and auditing of the funds and account of political parties and publish a report on such examination and audit for public information. Have you read any?
I've never. Since I was born up to the second.
The 21.5 billion raised. I mean, and then the
many untold, the many unaccounted for, like, because one thing we know, it's the Electoral Act also prohibits political parties from being funded by international organizations, external, you know, bodies and all of that. But the truth is, you and I know that there is no way, it's impossible for these political parties today to be able to muzzle up the kind of support, financial support internally only. So how well has INEC been able to conduct
do you know some of these things? If INEC actually stood up to performing all the responsibilities they've been saddled with, you will agree with me that we would not have unpopular parties. They may not be as prominent and as popular,
but then they'll be relevant.
But they will be relevant.
True.
I was listening to Kewaz Okore this morning. That's the presidential candidate for UPP. And I mean, and he was saying, no kudos to the media for not even giving any form of, you know, treatment, or consideration, let me put it that way, to other unpopular political parties to have at least a level playing ground.
True.
If INEC's role is to actually monitor convention, congresses, and party primaries, even if we cannot see it, even if we cannot see it, Ishoma, on the platform of the political parties because they cannot pay media houses to show this program or to do a live coverage, at least we should have INEC coming up to saying, okay, we were present at this rally, and INEC is saying it was free and fair, just for them to take the credibility.
Yeah.
They should be able to say it was free and fair, it was okay, everything went well. INEC telling people that, see, you can actually be, organize conventions and rallies without it being violent and everything going as planned, and all of that. But I mean, we don't see that, play out as a responsibility, that INEC is supposed to.
We also hope INEC officials are listening, watching and listening
definitely,
right now, so they can take note of these things also, even if they're unaware.
These are some of the things. I mean, we've been inviting the rec for Lagos, and I know he's been busy. He's giving us his word. Okay, I like to come, but I have a lot of other platforms to show and all of that, and we have verified some of them. Like the last time, he was almost committing himself to come in, and then he said, okay, he has given Channel his word. And while while that was being considered, I saw him live, on channels, and I said, okay, I mean, fair enough. That it's just because probably we didn't get in touch with him on time. Now, another very major responsibility is to arrange and conduct the registration of persons qualified to vote and prepare, so as to maintain and revise, every other necessary information that are, that should be
contained in the voters
exactly
register.
In the voters register.
So far, well, they've done well, not 100% also, but then they've done
incredibly well
to a large extent. Let's say 80%.
But a lot of how do you capture a lot of people whose names did not show up in the register? And once your name is not in the register, don't forget, you don't have. Okay, we have a case of people who have a TVC. A TVC which shows that they actually registered as at the time of registration. When the final voters register came, their names were not there, and obviously no PVCs has been issued for them. But they have their TVC, and that's my case.
So you're saying
I have a TVC.
You're still maintaining that people with TVCs should vote?
Should not vote.
Well, then they're not voting. People with TVCs.
I'm saying that right now there are some of us that are automatically, I don't want to say automatically, disenfranchised, because there's no way I can vote.
Why didn't you register?
I registered. I have a TVC.
Okay, no, I mean, you have a TVC and
yes.
it wasn't printed. Then you can take that up. By the time we have the resident
you sounded like there's justice in Nigeria.
By the time you have, of course, I believe there is justice. The fact that it's being subverted in some instances doesn't mean we do not have justice. Besides, also understand the fact that he who comes to equity must come with clean hands. Yeah. Most times people shout, their justice system in Nigeria doesn't work.
But my case would be an isolated case of one person taking INEC to court that, okay, I was disenfranchised. It would just be an isolated case of one person.
We hope to have the resident electoral commission on this show. Now, you'll be able to feed the questions to him.
Maybe we will have answers to some of these questions. Let's quickly take this in 1 minute, and then we go on a short break. To monitor political campaigns and provide rules and regulations, we shall govern the political parties.
You've not done well.
Anyway, anything that has to do with political campaigns, I think they have not fared well at all. Conduct voters and civic education. Failed. Promote knowledge and sound democratic election process and conduct any referendum required to be conducted in pursuant to the provision of the 1999 Constitution or any other law or act of the National Assembly. 0 or 10% or 20%.
5.
So you will agree with me that what INEC has done since 2007, through 2007, 2011, and up till now, is that every little thing that is happening in the political arena has overshadowed, the activities or the primary objectives of INEC, because they are just being responsive to, happenings in the political arena.
I was able to score them. We listed at 9 points, and based on my scores,
over 90.
3 over 9.
3 over 9.
A fail.
That's fail. That's
a big fail.
All right. Anyway, we try as much as possible to just analyze and evaluate as much as INEC, as much participation and involvement of INEC in some certain responsibilities that are being committed into their hands, to perform, especially when we come to election periods. We'll be going on a short break now, and then when we come back, we'll be taking you through another very interesting part of this show, and you don't want to miss that. We will be right back. Back, and this is Crossfire. During the first part of the show, we took you through an evaluation of the objectives and the goals of INEC. These were the reasons for which INEC was being constituted and given that autonomy. But from our own explanation and evaluation, we discovered that INEC has been more reactive instead of being proactive based on the activities that have been built around what has been happening in the election, during the election period. But this time out, we will be going through our educative session. And this session promised to actually throw more light on educating the electorate. Now, everyone who is going out on the 28th of March and the 11th of April are expected to have information that will guide them to be able to take valuable decisions. It could bother around you voting, and many of them could bother around you staying alive, even to be a part of the results of the elections. And that is why we bring this special to you. And the first one we'll be taking, Ishoma will be taking us through that.
Persons who cannot vote.
Yeah, things to note about voting. Mm-hmm. Things to note about voting, very important. What are the things that I need to know as we approach the polls?
And the first on my list is persons who cannot vote. Now, the following persons cannot vote at elections, particularly at the 2015 elections. 1, all persons below the age of 18 years. We're expecting that we won't see a child or someone who is below 18 saying, oh, I escorted my mom or my granny. No, we're expecting that only persons from 18 years and above will be present within the arena of
As a matter of fact, Ishima, this will form a discussion for another time.
Yeah.
Now, knowing fully well that that Nigeria does not even have a good birth record, how do you really know
I've seen individuals who were way below 18 years old, just because they look big.
Anyway, that's just a discussion for another time.
And then persons who also cannot vote on the day of the elections are non-Nigerians. Now, I hope Nigerians can understand that even if you're black, doesn't mean you're Nigerian. Even if you speak a particular dialect, does not mean you are a Nigerian. But also, when we talk about non-Nigerians, also foreigners who have not been naturalized by the process are also included. So they cannot vote. But any foreigner who has been naturalized, that is, you've been registered and you've been accredited as certified as a Nigerian, then you can vote. So
that means a Nigerian Canadian,
yes,
or a Canadian Nigerian.
As long as you've been naturalized. If you're foreigner, even if your parents were not Nigerians, but then you've been able to meet the criteria,
find out what will
the whole process.
a non-Nigerian to go through a national.
We'll do that tomorrow because we're not going to exhaust all of this today.
Exactly. Okay,
but then all non-Nigerians would not be allowed and would not vote. Now, all persons who did not register as voters, individuals who do not have their PVCs also, who are not registered and accredited by INEC, would not vote on the day of the elections. Also, all persons who do not hold a voter's registration card. Without your PVC, you won't vote.
The truth is just that if you see that point, when I was talking, I was saying that, one, some of these instructions that we want to pass across will either guide you on what to know as you go to the polls, as you vote, about voting. Yeah. And for some of us, these instructions means a lot to us. It can cost you your life if care is not taken. And when I say life, I don't mean you'll be killed. You can be arrested and jailed. Because if you have not registered to vote, you are not expected to be around any polling booth in the first place.
You're not even expected to present any voter's card that is not yours. Also.
Exactly.
Because that's grievous.
So just don't go out, just stay indoors.
True.
You know. And
lastly here, all persons whose names are not on the register, on the voters' register, because before now, of course, they will have been displayed at the various polling units, people's names and pictures. So if you know you registered, it's only natural that you'll have gone there to check. Is my name here? It's my name here. So when you checked and your name wasn't there, that means you're not on the voters' register. That means you also do not have any business being around the polling centers on the day of the election.
Now, another very important thing to let Nigerians know. I told you about people who were issued TVCs. They have their TVCs. Yeah. But when the register came their back. Names were not there. Don't forget that. Like I was telling someone who actually is experiencing this, and I said, see, your name likely will be part of the 5 million names that were removed from the register nationwide. How? Double registration.
That's
so you have a TVC, they issued you because you actually have registered. But when they were going through the register before it was publicly, it was published, they discovered that you probably registered twice.
And most times different addresses.
Addresses. And therefore, that name was taken out of the original register. And don't forget, it is the final register that is going to be used for voting that the issuance of your PVC has been done. So if you have a TVC and your name, you have not collected any PVC because your name was not in the register anyway in the first place, please, INEC has not told anybody will vote with TVC. Don't go out. Please, we are using this medium to advise. Just don't go out with the TVC. If you don't have your PVC, it simply means you cannot vote anyway in the first place. Sure. Whether you didn't collect it or your name is not in the register, the truth remains that you are not eligible on that day to vote with your TVC. So don't go out. Don't come and ask questions. I just want to find out if it's there. I just said, let me try. All of those things we possibly put.
I dropped into into a conversation yesterday, and a particular lady, she was making what I can call inflammatory statements, about the candidates, and she was saying a whole lot of things which ordinarily some individuals who are not able to process their thoughts properly would pick offense and could be violent about. And I just simply asked her, do you have a PVC? And she said no. And I said, good. So on the day of the elections, you would not vote. You have no business being within the arena.
Yeah.
Sit in your house and keep your comments and your opinions to yourself. It's not needed. Do not instigate people to violence.
All right. Now let's move on here before the phone lines start to come in. Where do I vote? Where do I vote? This is a very important question that a lot of Nigerians should get answers to. Where do I vote? Voting takes place at polling stations and polling units. What are polling stations? Are polling units. These are designated spots that INEC has chosen as a polling booth or a polling station or a polling unit. It is located in your ward. And that was the place you registered. That was the place you collected your PVC. That was the place you saw your name in the voters register. And so that is the place you are going to vote come the 28th of March and April the 11th. That is where your polling station and your polling unit are. Now, secondly, where do I vote? A voter is expected to cast his vote at the polling unit where his name is on the voters register. I said that earlier. A voter is expected to identify his polling station where his name is on the voters register. I said that. A polling unit nearest to the resident of the voter. Exactly the place where you registered and where you picked your PVC. And now, let's make this clear. This clarification. A lot of people eventually picked up their PVCs at the local government, not at the ward where they registered. So you are not going to vote at the You are not going to vote at the local government area where you were directed to pick your PVC. You are supposed to vote where you registered. Where you registered. You see, because INEC needed to have cleared the air on this. Very true. Because a lot of people eventually picked up their PVCs where they did not register originally, maybe because of some mixed up. But where you eventually picked it up may be exactly where your name is on the voters register. And that is where you need to vote.
True.
And that is where you need to vote. All right, kindly note that. Then how to vote?
Voting will be by open, secret ballot system. Now, Nigerians should also understand that when you're casting your vote, the next person or whoever it is, nobody else should know who you are voting for.
It is one at a time.
It should be you and God, your creator, that should know who you voted for. So even though it will be in the open, but then you're expected to go to a place where you can have your privacy, and then you thumbprint. Now, while thumbprinting, you're expected not to cross the gap where you to cross the line where you're whoever it is you're voting for. So while voting, make sure your thumbprint falls within that particular box or space made available for your preferred candidate
another thing
or party.
is that a lot of people should understand that when we say it is open secret ballot system, somebody asked me, he said, what is open secret? That if it is a secret, it means it is hidden. But here you are saying it is open and it's a secret ballot system. Now, the idea of the idea behind the open secret ballot, the open aspect of it is that people can see you. You are in a place that is not in an enclosed building, as it were. It's just a place where you are alone
that makes it open.
That makes it open. The secret aspect of it is that you are not discussing with anybody before you use your thumb to vote for your candidate.
And no one is seeing
And no one is seeing you do that. So it is essential that you understand what it means by the open secret, the openness, and then the secret aspect of it.
Okay, I already summed it all up in one. Then, secondly, your vote is secret because no one will see whatever candidate you have chosen to vote for. And also, you will mark your ballot behind a polling screen secretly. That is when you're doing your thumbprint. And finally, you will apply your fingerprint only in one circle or space, provided which corresponds to the candidate or the political party of your choice.
Now, I would have expected a level of education in this light. We have a lot of aged people that may need to be guarded on that day. But bottom line is this. INEC has not done enough in the area of educating the voters. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. A lot of people do not even have an idea of what the voters card is going to look like this time. Is it the conventional voters card that we will have, or there's a slight change? By now, people should be able to see on the screen what the voters card will look like and how to thumbprint. We used to do that. We've done that before. But then it will show you, like in, somebody who comes in to vote, it was the person's turn on a queue, and then the person is led, or described or showed the place where you're going to do it, and then they do a fingerprint, and then, your thumb is marked, with the indelible ink, and then you do it properly without allowing it to go, in between two candidates. Or
even cross, because when it does, it will be marked invalid. And then your vote will not count. So
and
the whole process of standing will be a waste.
The stress. Okay, let's quickly take this one. All right, that will be all on how to vote. And then I think this one really counts a lot. Apply your fingerprints only in one circle or space which corresponds to the candidate of your choice. The candidate of your choice, because nobody is going to guide you to be able to do that. That is the secret aspect of it. Nobody will come and use your hand in any of the boxes. Now, another very interesting one is, what is the procedure? As you prepare to vote, what the procedure? We have been saying it, but we have never really addressed it the way we're doing it this morning. And that is to ensure that a lot of people who are watching us, who have access to us, are educated. If INEC cannot do it or bring it to your doorstep, we will do as much as we can just to make you safe.
In the interest of Nigerians.
In the interest of Nigerians. I mean, we are so magnanimous in Goon TV, in Wazobia TV, and even all our radio platforms. Education is key. People need this information, and we're making it available. And I'm so glad that I'm part of this process. I mean, it's our time. And procedure, that is preparing to vote. As you prepare to vote, there is someone that is called the PO. That is the presiding officer. you will find only one per polling station or per polling unit. Only one presiding officer will be there. And this person will explain the voting procedure to the voters. You will see him addressing all of you as you align on the queue. He will come around, he will invite all the voters accredited to form a single queue. They will get to the polling station ahead of you, and so they are ready as you begin to come. And don't forget, if everything goes as planned, the queuing process for accreditation starts at 8 p.m. I mean 8 a.m., sorry. 8 at 8 a.m. in the morning. 8 a.m. in the morning is the time. Now, he will come and address everybody and he'll say, please form one single file. One single file. Everybody
no
on the queue. Jumping. No queue jumping. No, I got there before you. I saw you when you are coming.
Please. No. Nothing like
just
that.
Just one
first
line.
Come, first serve. Just
one line. Then, where culture does not allow men and women to mingle in a queue, the presiding officer will separate queues and create one that will be well managed for the men and for the women. Especially in the north, where a lot of people are not expected to queue.
So then there will be two. That's only when you have two queues, one for men and one for women. That's it.
All right. Before we go on, let's take this call. Ido, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Dapper.
How are you today?
Hi, good morning.
I'm fine, good morning. So, I really appreciate what you people are doing this morning. Unfortunately, INEC is not paying you for what you are doing. And
they are not.
This is supposed to be what INEC is supposed to be doing.
In the interest of Nigeria.
And as Chima was saying the other time, she mentioned something like, if you are less than 18 years, you are not allowed to vote. I believe Professor Jeda should organize a kind of campaign in Hausa language, especially to the people in the north. Because what you just said, especially concerning the underage, I served in the north, especially I served in Adamawa State, and I was lucky to be part of an election whereby I served in the election. And I remember I knew what I went through that particular day. Restricting people, underage people from voting. In the north, you'll be surprised that even an unborn baby, the one still in the womb, they vote.
That's a myth.
Hello?
It's a myth.
I mean, an unborn baby, the one still in the womb.
Wow.
And if you dare restrict them, you'll be threatened. Not only threatened, they are there to carry out their threat. Okay? Any attempt for you to even educate them or to force them to do what is right, you may be killed. So please, the INEC should please help us to organize a kind of campaign in Hausa language. All these things are good, but it's very good, but it should be done in Hausa language. And to those people in the north, please, I really appreciate it if we can do this.
All right, thank you very much. I mean, is it possible for us to bring...
I know, but that was...
Why not bring an Hausa person who understands English very well? As we read some of these things out, it translates it in Hausa.
Well, not just Hausa, Yoruba, also Igbo. Let's say the three major languages. But the truth is, where I saw these underage children, as I can rightly call them, wanting to vote, was not even in the north, right here in the south. This is not just peculiar to the north only. We also have southerners who do this.
Who needs this education?
Who need this education because they're part of who do it. So we need to educate the people generally, not just northerners also. Southerners also need to educate.
Don't forget, the last point we emphasize is to let you know that primarily it's one queue for every polling station or every polling unit. It is essential that everybody fall on a single queue. The presiding officer will be given instructions and he has been empowered. He has been empowered to do so. So kindly honor the presiding officers and obey them by just maintaining a queue, and in the case where men and women are to queue separately, that means we're going to have two queues in such an environment. So it is very, very essential. And then again, the presiding officer shall count loudly the number of accredited voters in the queue and record the number. The moment everybody has fallen on the queue and you are maintaining orderliness, he will take a count, 1, 2, 3, 4 to the last number. And those are the people that are expected to vote at that put. I mean, it is essential that people understand this, you see, because when they start to count and you leave your queue to go and join at the back again so that there will be a double count, you are already looking for trouble. So we're using this platform really, I mean, truly and very seriously, that Nigerians need this education, and that's why we take our time. Myself and Ishoma can come on this show and, as usual, differ in opinion and make so much noise, but this is essential. I mean, after the elections, we can continue our fight on the show as usual. But this season,
priority.
It is extremely, extremely important that voters get all the necessary information as we approach the polls. So the PO shall count loudly the number of accredited voters in the queue and shall record the number. It is important that we note all of this. Okay.
Okay, and on commencement of voting, now at the commencement of the voting, now the PO, that's the presiding officer, shall do the following. 1, invite the voters on the queue to approach the poll clerk, that is the PC for short, in an orderly manner. Now, the people they are expected to still be on. Okay, we have a call. Let's take this call.
Okay, good morning,
Usman.
Good morning, Banjo Ishema.
How are you?
Good morning.
All right, thanks. Please, I want you guys to do me a favor. I don't have live, but I do follow the program. What's on discussion?
Yeah, we actually have been talking about, we did at the first half of the show, we actually talked about, we evaluated the performance of INEC till date. And then right now, what is on is that we've been educating Nigerians on what to know as you vote. What are the things do I need? I mean, what are the things do I need to know as we vote come March the 28th and April the 11th? And we've taken a couple of them. We have gone through the person who cannot vote. We read through that, all the people who are not eligible to vote, you know, and then we discuss where to vote, and then we mention how to vote. But right now we are talking about preparing for voting. Well, as we prepare to vote.
Usman, well, yes. Since you have a peculiar case, well, do not worry because we'll try and make available this point on our Facebook and Twitter handles. So you can visit us, our Facebook page, and you'll find them.
Okay, I can summarily say INEC has tried a bit. I won't say a lot. Okay. Because of their fucked up in the past.
I think that's our conclusion too on the show.
3/9.
Okay.
We actually rated them 3/9. They have 9 objectives if you go to INEC website, what they're expected to do as we prepare for the elections. And we discovered that
you can't trade them 3/9. They tried. You just trade them like 5/9.
5/9, okay.
The percentage of the PVC collection has gone up.
Yeah, 82.1 as at yesterday.
Yes, thanks for the postponement of the election. Which we all now agree that okay, they did it based on what we Nigeria want.
Usman, do you have your PVC now?
Yes, I'm traveling to Lagos. I'll be traveling to Lagos tomorrow.
Good.
Great. We wish you a very safe journey, and let us know on the show when you pick up your PVC.
And all the best on your just concluded exams. I didn't forget.
All right. Now let's quickly go on here.
Okay. Well, why don't we go on a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll take it up from there.
All right.
Stay tuned.
All right, we are back, and we'll be taking you through the very last stretch of the program. And as we come into the session, we have a caller who has been holding on for us. Let's take this call. Good morning, Ibrahim.
Good morning.
Hi,
Ibrahim,
good morning.
how are you today?
I'm fine.
All right, great. Go ahead and make your contribution.
Okay, let me start from the caller that said the Hausa people, they should be explaining in Hausa that should be situated and voting. I was part of INEC process in 2011.
Okay.
And in that time, what we faced when we were doing the registration was, we find out that in Enugu, those rich men do go to primary schools to bring buses. They will pack children in buses and force them on those coppers to register them. So it's not only in the north. It's all over Nigeria. That is one.
Very true.
Secondly, I think INEC has performed very poorly, especially in the aspect of registration of voters. because you find out that I don't even know why the issue of distributing voters' cards will become an issue in Nigeria. When you have 4 years to distribute these voters' cards, and it's only on the dime minute you start complaining about distributing voters' cards. In fact, even people that are up to 18 years, or even 19, those that have not registered, they don't register in 2011. We are not able to register because since I registered in Enugu, I was unable to collect my voters' card. I went to those stations where they want to perform a new registration. And to my surprise, if you see the number of people there, and they just allocate just 3 days to do those registrations, which is not possible. So in that aspect, they performed very, very poor. And the third aspect is the aspect of the free and fair registration, what they call it, free and fair
elections.
Voting.
The elections?
Yeah.
The secret.
Free and fair. So
okay,
in 2011, what we experienced, because I was I was a presiding officer then, is that INEC themselves, the staffs of INEC themselves, and the lecturers they brought from universities
are compromised.
Bow down to money. Because we find out that INEC officials, in fact, our own INEC, the person in charge of our ward in Enugu then, I was in Ihuakpara ward, something like that. The man himself is the one sharing the money for the coppers and other workers that are under him. In broad daylight, they share money for us. And what happened during the presidential election was awful. Because you find out that then there was no anybody like, what they call it, agent for that part, the other party that they see as an alien party. Wow. So they happened that after the election by 1, because I finished my election by 1:30, was through the election. So that is when PDP came and said, we want to use the ballot paper to do certain things. So in most of the polling units, my colleagues, they bow down to that. They collected money and they do whatever they want to do. And that happened because the accreditation figures we have was not even taken into account. Wow. Just some print. In some polling units, there was not even some printing. They stole my friend's ballot paper. He refused to stole it. They some printed without even his signature on it. So I think the card reader has a long way to go in providing this free and fair election we are talking about.
All right.
If the card reader, you can accredit voters and send the accreditation number to certain people, I think it will go a long way.
All right,
I'm
great.
surprised that people are opposing card reader. Why would you oppose card reader when people like Ghana, we say we are the largest economy in Africa, and people like countries like Ghana and Lesotho and so on, they are using card readers, and we cannot use card reader. It's a shame. It's a shame for Nigeria, sincerely.
Wow.
So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim.
Thank you.
Very valuable points. But that means this cuts across. I mean, don't worry, Ishoma, we'll continue this tomorrow, educating, the voters. We'll start on the commencement of the voting.
We can't finish this today.
And the process, But really and truly, based on some of the feelers that we have from the callers, it simply means, see, the education we're talking about, it cuts across, like what Ibrahim is saying. Yeah. Even though Usman called and is saying that we should, try as much as possible to educate the people in the north. But Ibrahim called
But the truth is not just about the north.
Yeah,
it
just
happens
like you said.
in the south. Yeah. It happens in the west. It happens everywhere.
Everywhere.
So we need
it's a national orientation.
True.
It's a national.
But the truth is, there are some individuals, like Usman called us and said he couldn't follow the show because he didn't have electricity to watch.
Imagine. There
are some individuals also, many families who do not sit down and watch TV. Many of them do not even have access to radio stations, to listen to the radio also. So I believe even when INEC, they want to embark on such campaigns, yes, you can do via the media. But then it's also possible you can put out posters. Put this as strategic point. There is no way people will not, especially when it's captivating and it's interesting to look at, people will definitely stand up and look at it and learn.
Especially
and
when
you can
do
do word
it
to
before,
word,
especially when you
one-on-one.
do it, especially when you do it before the major elections.
Exactly.
People will read it.
We have local government elections coming, so at least we hope INEC can also pick up from the lapses and some of these issues we're raising also, and educate the people also ahead of the local government elections. Anyway, use it to learn.
Anyway, we just want to say a very big thank you to all the people who were part of our show today. And sorry to as many people who plan to call and be a part of the show, but electricity will just not allow you to. But notwithstanding, we are looking forward to a very, very vibrant economy as we vote right and ensure that the next coming election is free, is fair, is transparent, and is credible. Let us all put our hands on deck and do what is fair. Thank you so very much for being a part of us. Join us tomorrow morning again for another very interesting episode. We'll be here, and we know you'll be there too. Stay out of trouble.
Say no to violence and do not drink and drive.
Do not drink and drive.
Bye.